There we go. We're on now. This is where we
Great.
just sort of stare at each other in silence for a while, because that's been my track record. As soon as I hit that button, everyone just shuts up. We all just kind of go,
I'm so happy to sit and stare at you, Adam.
thanks, Eli. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Wildcat Well. Once again, the intro being recorded from the shop. Today's guests are Justice von Maur and Eli Bradley. They participated in the inaugural Theater Crude Fringe Festival in 2019 with a production called 3/4 Empty. It was lovely. They are lovely. We had a great time chatting with each other. So hopefully you all enjoy this conversation. As always, remember to visit theatercrude.org in order to find out how to apply to be a part of the Theater Crude Fringe Festival this year, and also to donate to the continuing existence of Theater Crude. Again, that is theatercrude.org. We appreciate your support and your participation. With that, enjoy the following unconventional, underground, and unrefined conversation. Welcome to the show.
What's up with the name? Why Wildcat Well?
It's again a play on the oil terms. Since we are Theater Crude, underground and unrefined, the Wildcat Well is an exploratory well that oil drillers will go and test new areas for new crude. They'll send out that Wildcat team to drill the first well to find out if there's anything there.
I never made the connection between theater crude and crude oil. I thought it was just like, hey, it's raunchy.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
So we're going for levels.
Yeah.
So what have you guys been up to? Neither of you are in Oklahoma City anymore. And this is a tragedy for me personally, but hopefully good for you.
I miss you, Adam.
No.
I miss you.
I miss a lot of the theater folks from OKC. There's a lot of great people there.
Yeah, tons.
Yeah, I wanted to go back and visit last fall, but I ended up leaving Austin for like several months and going to stay in South Carolina, so I didn't make my visit. But yeah, I saw that people are still doing theater up there, and it makes me want to drive up and see something.
Yeah, it's still happening. It's still live and in person. They've spaced people out, and all the actors are wearing the clear face masks.
Yeah.
Still happening. Pretty cool. What kind of theater are you making? What is going on in your lives? This is what I want to know. Where are you, Eli? Where are you? I know that Justice is in Austin. Are you also in Austin?
No, I'm in New York currently.
Okay.
But I'm working remotely for Mosaic Theater in DC, kind of doing public programming and marketing work. And then I'm currently kind of just freelancing around for side gigs. I'm acting in a musical that Justice is doing with a university called Margot and Mr. Snooze. It's going to be amazing, but I'll let Justice talk more about that.
Will you now?
I think that was him handing the baton, and you just sort of like let it fall to the ground.
Oh no, I'm picking it up. Oh, here. Oh, I got it. It's okay. It's right here. Yeah, 5-second rule. I am in an MFA program at UT Austin called Drama and Theater for Youth and Communities. It's a mouthful. And I started it in September, and I've been doing it exclusively online. So I'm in the Zoomiversity life. I live in a 400 square foot studio. And so I'm inside of a box.
No.
But yeah, we're making some virtual theater, so that's fun. It's this TYA musical, Margot and Mr. Snooze, and it's about a little girl whose dad is so depressed that he can't get out of bed, and Eli plays the depressed dad.
I am in fact the titular Mr. Snooze.
Mr. Snooze.
Yeah.
You know, This is great casting against type. I don't think I would have ever said, Eli, that's a guy who just snoozes all the time. That no energy coming out of him ever.
Oh, the sleepiness isn't it's not that big of a stretch for me. But yeah, when I'm not sleeping, I'm super hyper. But yeah, it's what'd you say?
You're making it work.
Yeah, I'm making it work.
Yeah.
I got my sorry if you can hear that. That's my roommates singing as they cook pasta. I got my Ebenezer Scrooge style sleeping gown here.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Depression, check.
So we make it work.
This is exciting because so Eli and I were doing the interactive program together at Lyric, which is a touring children's show. And then we were in the middle of that when the pandemic hit. Just going back to square one here. That was a year and 3 days ago now.
Yeah. And that was the Cinderella one that you guys worked on?
Yes. And since then, Eli and I have even though like our official kind of professional life went off the rails, we have managed to figure out ways to make several pieces of theater together since, which is really cool. And so this is just like another kind of like one-off project that has like sprung up that we happen to be working on together. And so I'm reflecting on that right now, that it's been a year since we've been employed together in a like theater space, and yet this is our fourth piece that we've kind of just like
third or fourth collaboration in a year. Like for me at least, that's 4 shows in a year outside of like a school setting. That's a lot. And they're 4 shows with the same person and then a couple other projects on the side. Yeah. And Theater Crude is where it all kind of really started.
Yes.
Like, that was our first collaboration outside of school. And look where we are now.
Yeah.
You guys are like the dream team, just constantly creating.
We kind of are, honestly. It's really like, now that I'm 25 and old, I am I'm making so many realizations about like collaboration, I feel. And like it is like so magical when you find someone that you like for real, like just collab like so well with. Like it's like I never ever want to let this go ever again. Like I realize it. I'm just like, yeah, like I know exactly who I can call that will come in, and then we can just like vibe.
And we have changed off roles so many times. Like sometimes you're performing, sometimes I'm performing, sometimes you're directing, sometimes I'm directing, sometimes we're writing.
Yeah. So one of the pieces that we did was this past summer. One of our dear friends wrote a poem, and I performed it in my like little just, what is it? A balcony? Not a balcony, a porch.
Back porch, a very small area enclosed with brick wall.
Square, yeah. Practice for living in here, I suppose. But like I just like built this like set like in my back like porch yard thing. And Eli came over and directed me in this piece, and we shot it over the period of like 3 days, and edited it together and everything. And that was like one of my favorite theater moments, I think, in the past year, because it was like literally just the 2 of us and then the other person virtually. And Eli just like directed the shit out of me. Like they just directed it so well, and we're like in my living room like punching the air, like doing all these like exercises, and it was just like, it was amazing that like we're so practiced at being vulnerable with each other. I think that we can like swap in and out like that artistically.
That is a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah, like we're just it's a muscle, right? And like just a muscle that we keep flexing with each other.
Yeah. And we have the trust to be able to like flex it in new different ways and adapt to a virtual means. Because do you remember that that I'd call it a disagreement that we had over the visual filter on Sonnet 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was for the poetry piece that we filmed.
Yeah.
And then at the end there was differing
There was
opinions.
differing of opinions. But like I feel like we have the comfort and trust to be honest and vicious with each other.
We did it my way. We ended up doing it my way.
We did, as we usually do.
But yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah. She let me voice my opinion.
And it didn't break up the band, so great. Gravy.
No, because I mean, being vulnerable means that you're willing to fail together.
Absolutely.
And separately. So.
And there's no ego attached to being right or wrong. It's like all in the interest of the communal betterment.
Yes, communal betterment.
So you would say that a key to a good collaboration is the vulnerability and the trust?
Oh, yeah.
It really helps spark the creative juices.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, going back to Theater Crude, our first post-college piece together, it all started. Eli moved to Oklahoma City, and like, I don't know, like 20 hours after they moved, I took them to an outdoor concert at the Botanical Gardens because I was like, look, this city has live music, so it's legit. And we were like laying in the grass, and it was just so beautiful. And then I turned to Eli and I was like, Eli, we are doing this show in 6 weeks and we haven't written.
And we came up with the ending. Yeah. We that same night, you told me like the rough plot outline, and you and I like worked out the ending that ended up happening.
Literally just casually laying in the grass. I was like, so we want this, this, and this to happen. And then Eli just like finished the story, and then we wrote the script together. But like that whole moment, that whole like collaboration was born out of me saying like, we need a lot of help right now.
Yeah.
You know, like we've dropped some balls, like help me. Can you help me pick them up, or like throw some new balls into the air that we won't drop? Yeah.
But it worked brilliantly. I'm 3/4 empty. I cannot applaud that show enough. It was fantastic. I feel bad that more people can't see it, but
I know, but that's okay.
That's the nature of theater. It just turns to dust.
Yes.
Never to be seen again.
Unless we decide to do it again. But even if we do, it won't be the same show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in return, like there have been moments in this past year when I've reached out to Justice and I've been like, I need to find someone to do this monologue, and no one I know is good enough. Will you please do it during grad school finals? And she was like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah. So it's a reciprocal lending of favors, I guess.
Do you want to talk about that project? It was very, very cool.
Yeah, sure. So it was this virtual reading that I produced back in December for Mosaic Theater of DC, called #Enough. And this guy named Michael Cody organized this national playwriting contest for high schoolers to confront the theme of gun violence through a performance piece. That was the prompt they were given. And then this panel of like really, really cool playwrights kind of read them all, evaluated them all, and picked 7. And then on the anniversary of Sandy Hook, December 14th, all these theaters across the country and a couple in other countries around the world did synchronized, is that the right word? Readings of this. What'd you say?
Synchronous?
Yeah, at the same time. The fancy word for at the same time. Readings of these 7 plays, and Justice was in like, what, 4 of them? 3 of them?
3, yes.
Yeah. And she was so good. Yeah, but that was that was fan-fucking-tastic. And she did this monologue with this 15-minute monologue called Ghost Gun, where
Listen, if there's one thing I can do, it's a long ass monologue, okay?
the queen of long monologues.
Yeah, it was really awesome though too, because like Eli is living in Colorado. Well, okay, Eli's in New York right now, but has been living in Colorado and is working in DC. And I am in Austin, and also somehow is immersed in this DC community by way of my friend who lives in Colorado. And so that's another thing with the virtual. It's just like it's so nice to be able to reach into so many pots.
Yeah.
And something that was so amazing about hashtag enough was that Mosaic like works so hard to like really uplift artists of color. And like I think I honestly can't remember the last time that I like collaborated with that many Black people on a creative project. It was probably, the last one was probably Crowns at Lyric, which was like years ago. And then before that, I don't even know when. And so yeah, that was like really amazing too. Something I love about the virtual theater, and I appreciate about that opportunity and Mosaic.
Well, to tag on to that, in the same way, I'm now kind of tuned into this theater community in Austin, and also through the musical we're working on, these artists in Maryland, Jake and Kevin, the director and composer, I think both live in Maryland. And so, yeah, like there's this opportunity for,
they're like right by Mosaic too, which is,
yeah. Maryland is right up there.
Yeah.
But this opportunity for intergeographic community and theater and exchange that is just the potential of it I find really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Sorry.
It's all right. You're the one here. They see me every week. You keep talking.
I was just gonna say, just like going back to that vulnerability thing with collaboration, like being able to really being able to seek out people that you know you can be vulnerable with to create with, that aren't necessarily in your vicinity, is like also just like really empowering as an artist, I think. Yeah, it's like I know like Zoom musicals are like challenging, and like probably people don't really like to watch them, but like to be able to create, yeah, it's cool.
Do you see the Zoom online theater creation continuing once people can go back outside and freely gather in groups of people?
I do, but I definitely think it will be a small subgenre of theater, kind of like the mini series is a smaller kind of, it's less common than TV shows or movies. Like I feel like virtual theater will probably continue, and I think a lot of theaters will try harder after this to make their content virtually accessible, just to increase accessibility. But I don't think everyone will.
I think like what's interesting to me about the online theater, why are you laughing at him?
I just find it fascinating that every time I feel like I need to start saying something to keep the conversation moving, you're just like, no, I got this.
Hold on now.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, I just like take a minute to think.
Yeah, let it percolate.
Yeah.
Give you more beats.
What is interesting about the online theater to me, or is like it's this like hybrid form now, where it's like it's not quite theater, let's be honest, it's not quite film, it's not quite online because there's something live about it, but it's not quite reality. It's like this mishmash of different things that's just like creating something entirely different. And like I know people feel some type of way about it, sort of like aesthetically. But we've just been talking about in this conversation, like how that kind of like break in form, how that like disruption of form for theater has like already lended itself to like better collaboration, like thinking about like vulnerability and creative spaces in different ways, like having to be like more intentional about connecting with each other because we're in these boxes, and like accessibility and like more people are creating, you know, like I produced 2 pieces of theater for my apartment, right? Like we're getting so many more people collaborating. And so I don't know, on the other end of all of this, I honestly don't know what theater will look like, because I feel like this like shift in form has shown us that like theater in its traditional form is sort of like inherently complicit in systems of oppression. Oh, you know, and right. And so like even thinking about like back to doing like the Fringe Festival, you know, it's a different form. Like it's a completely different format, like it like in operation and in process, and then therefore like in aesthetics, and how just like that break like made it feel freer or something, right?
And I think folks will start, the folks who, how do I say this? The folks who are interested will start writing theater or art pieces, like I don't know if we still want to call it theater, or like if there's a more accurate term for what Justice is talking about, but like the people will start writing for that medium and not adapting or like contorting extant works into a Zoom or virtual format. Like I think people will start writing to take advantage of the ability to collaborate with people and make things in a very intimate, personal way, and rely less on large, I don't know, large casts and large spectacles, or action, visual action. I think people will honestly probably start writing more like people did 2,000 years ago, where they had to just describe the things that happened instead of actually doing them. Yeah.
If people write at all, right? Right? Like, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about the root word, like theater, like its root, like the Greek root of the word theater, like how it means like to make visible, right? Right? Are you? That's right. It means,
I'm
yeah.
nodding. I don't.
Yeah. So like
Me.
the root word of theater simply means to make visible, which really has nothing to do with the way we've practiced theater traditionally, in my opinion. I mean, like it has like 10% to do with what the commoditized sort of version of theater has like rolled out into, right? And so like zooming out and thinking, okay, like theater moving forward, like what if theater just meant naming things?
Like there's a more effective way of making visual than what we're doing.
Right? I don't know more effective. I think different. Like,
okay.
I don't know.
Oh.
I have no idea what it is, but it's just I don't know. I'm just, it could be anything, right? Like I troubled when you said like people are going to start writing, because I'm like, well, who even says that like theater starts from like that place of like I'm sitting down and writing something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I mean, the birth of 3/4 Empty was from a non-script standpoint, right? Am I?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm always pushing back against writing, I think, because like I'm a little bit of a shit writer, honestly, like basically. But right, like I always talk about about this, like the way that I always see theater when I'm creating is like via like shape, like the shape of it, and then like the way that I want it to feel. And so it's really amazing when I can like pair up with someone who's a nice writer and I could say, it feels like this, like, how do I get there? But yeah, I would love to see theater spaces that like make more room for that kind of like approach of like, okay, like how can we get in a room and figure out a way to make feeling like iterative and practicable in a way that we can like harness it and then make work from that somehow. Like that's my dream. We go back to the drawing board on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of the compassion cult from Midsommar.
Like, hell yeah, let's go. I love that, right? Like, yeah, like how can we make feeling practicable in the same way that like writing is, or like what we're just talking about, like we are in practice, we collaborate well because we're in practice with being vulnerable with each other, and I just think that I just feel like that should be really integral to making theater.
Absolutely. I think it should maybe be more, it should, its integration should be co-present with the integration of story or writing, if that is any.
Yeah, and then like if we're lucky, like maybe the feeling it becomes the story, right?
Yes, yeah, because that sense of like vulnerability and intimacy should guide whatever the final product is.
Yeah.
This is why we work together.
Hi, Adam.
Great. I'm a fly on the wall. I'm digging this. I love watching the two of you just bounce ideas off of each other, and the places we're going are fantastic. I mean, you're making me feel things right now. So, I mean, by this definition, this theater is happening before me at this very moment. Just amazing.
Making visible. Yeah.
So.
You just reminded me, right now I am doing a training with Malia Kakia and Chris from Before the Other virtually. Nice. I am also sharing in virtual community with that theater company that I met through Theater Crude, which is awesome. I'm in their pedagogy of play training. Nice. And yeah, I just did one session so far. It seems like really cool. And Chris offered up the other day. He said that play is not an action, but a feeling. So
Being for the Other is an excellent example, I think, of prioritizing vulnerability and feeling in a performance.
Yeah, I will never forget when Malia Kakia said, I think it was right before 3/4 Empty opened, and she said that like she talked about like that willingness to be seen. And she was talking about it in the context of like that sort of like applied theater workshop we were doing, like how we need to be willing to like be seen by one another. And then they were like, and also this is what theater is all about. Oh, making things visible. There it goes, comes back again. And she was like, it's really, really like brave that we, do theater because that it involves letting ourselves be seen. And I needed to hear that so much because I was having so much anxiety about performing the piece of theater that I wrote and performed in. And I was like, yeah, like, hell yeah, I deserve to feel scared and anxious because this is really hard. But yeah, they're awesome.
Agreed. They are great. But yeah, they actually made the trip to Oklahoma City from Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a trip. So glad they came too.
Me too.
Thirded. I saw that show 4 times, I think. 3 or 4 times. I really cashed on that artist comp.
Yeah, that's a good one to do multiple times. You want a guaranteed never the same thing twice. It's a place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got anything that you want to promote here in the last few minutes? Give a sales pitch. It's okay if you don't.
Starting on April 13th, Mosaic is going to be releasing a virtual play called Kafia Made in China. It is a series of vignettes So each of the vignettes is going to be released as a different episode, and it's going to be real good. So check it out at Mosaic Theater of DC.
Hell yeah. I will say that I am doing research right now. And I am I am researching how to break the American theater away from white supremacy and systems of oppression, as you may have guessed. And doing that, I'm sort of like coming up with my own theater methodology called emergent theater. And I'm hoping to have this research published in a journal this summer. So when that happens, people should read it and pass it around. And yeah, let me know if let me know if you want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
I love talking about theater and transformative justice, and
I would absolutely love
coming
to.
out on the other side of whatever we're in the middle of.
Yeah, you too. You amaze me. I'm so glad to know you both. It's been so great catching up.
Yeah,
we're really big theater nerds apparently.
Yeah, I'm actually about to
Big
go
old
tell my
nerd.
roommates to apply to your Fringe Festival, because one of them was just accepted into the Denver Fringe Festival.
Nice.
So I'm gonna tell her to send an application your way.
Yeah, we happened shortly after Denver Fringe, so just bring the same show around, like tour all the way back around till you get to New York again.
Tour of the Center West. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess we've reached the end. We've all quieted.
Let me oh wow, I've eaten all of these peanut butter cups. I said I would eat at least one of these during I'm gonna reveal.
Can we all touch fingers to just like lock it in? Oh, I feel you. Thank you.
Nice.
Do you feel that?
Here, real quick. Jenny's over there.
Jenny!
Hi.
Bye, Jenny!
Bye.